Hey, good evening, everybody. Mark here from Home Slots, and I've got Brantley here from Cowboy Slots. Brantley, how you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Mark?
I'm doing great, doing great.
All
Well, this is the
right.
late night live slot tech show. I'm not going to mess it up this week.
Yeah,
It
don't
was
mess
such
it
a
up this
disaster
time.
last week. I know, right? Hope everybody's doing well. Uh, we don't really have a major topic today. There's a couple things I want to go over first. Let's talk about Las Vegas. So, Brantley and I are going to be in Las Vegas this weekend, arriving on Saturday and departing on Monday or Tuesday. And what we want to know is what do you guys want to see while we're there? I mean, obviously, Brantley will probably do some live play on his channel. Stacy and Greg from Stacy's High Limit Slots will be there also. They'll be doing plenty of live play. If there's any machines that you want to see, Brantley, are you open to playing what people want to
Oh
see?
yeah, for sure. As long as it's
Okay,
not anything like too crazy or out there, you know,
that's
I'll
right.
play
Yeah,
it. I'll play it.
fair enough, fair enough. And I might even play some really low denomination top dollar or something if I can find it. But I traditionally don't do live play on this channel, as you guys know. But who knows? I'm bringing a very, very, very small budget, but we'll see what happens. But anyway, we will be there, and we're also going to do some videos for you guys, not just about live play, but um, we're going to talk about progressives. We're going to go around and take some pictures and some videos of different types of progressive machines and what to look for. I know, Brantley, you did a video in the past about finding the right progressive, and it was outstanding. I think we can take it to another level and really get some good content, because I don't know about you, but the last like 3 or 4 live streams have been filled with questions about progressives,
Oh
and
yeah,
so I think we
yeah.
could
We
totally
should
clear
go
the
over that
air and
again.
yeah, just find every single type of progressive while we're in Vegas and talk about the pros and cons of each of them. And I think that would make for a good video. But again, if you guys have any suggestions of what you want to see, or maybe we'll be able to talk to some employees and stuff, and you have any questions for them, we'll reach out and we'll do our best. But you never know. But anyway, yeah, I hope you guys will get a chance to see us if you're around there at that time. Otherwise, stay tuned for our videos. It should be a lot of fun. We never know when we're going to go live. We might on Saturday night, we might on Sunday. You never know. So make sure you're subscribed both channels, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys if you end up showing up. So one kind of house cleaning item is we had a question last week about an article that was mentioned about somebody being able to essentially time their bets on a video poker machine in order to take advantage of the casino. And I was like, boy, that just doesn't sound right to me. Can you send me the article? And thankfully, the user or the viewer sent the article to me, and I was able to read it. So I wanted to show it to you guys and kind of give my comments to it. And I'm sure, Brantley, you have some comments as well that you could share. So let me do that real quick. So here's the article essentially. Hacking charges dropped against 2 men who were allegedly exploited a bug in video poker machines to the tune of hundreds of thousands of dollars. And essentially, I'll sum this up for you guys, and I'll post a link in if you really want to read it. But essentially, there was a bug in the software, and this is the thing. Like, slot machines nowadays are still software programs, and they can still be buggy. And as we know, especially nowadays with software, it seems like it's getting buggier and buggier than it used to be. And just a kind of a funny story, kind of a side note, but for those of you guys who used to play like the original Nintendo games and Super Nintendo games, isn't it interesting how those were relatively bug free when they came out? But now when you purchase games, it's like just a nightmare with bugs and glitches and everything. And it's different when back in the day you can only put your cartridge out once, and you couldn't have the internet to update it and things like that. So it made it very, very serious to put those through rigorous quality assurance controls before those things got burned to a cart that you physically put into your Nintendo or Super Nintendo or whatever. And so I think they spent a lot more time back then doing quality control, but nowadays it's a lot different. I think because they think it's easy to update, they kind of get a little lazy. And I've seen this not so much with slot machines, but not with glitches with slot machines, but slot machines that have to be rebooted because they're starting to get slow and they're buggy and lock up. I had a machine lock up on me once, and they had to restart it and resume the bonus and all that. I've just noticed that a lot more. And so I guess the long answer, or that's a long answer, but the short answer is that bugs do exist. They try to catch the serious ones like this, of course. But if you're lucky enough to find it, I guess you can try to exploit it, but I would never recommend something like that. And Brantley, I don't know if you had any other stories that you've ever heard of while you were working in the casino of glitches being found or anything like that.
Glitches being found, no, not in the facilities that I worked in. However, it's really important to realize and understand that even though these manufacturers spend millions of dollars a year to ensure that the software runs properly and is bug free, like you mentioned, software is getting newer, it's getting more complicated, and that's why they put that label on the machine that malfunction voids play, and a lot of people kind of disregard that and think that, it's not going to happen to me, or it's not going to happen at all. And what a lot of people have to realize is that these are still computers. They do make mistakes. There are bugs that do exist out there, and yes, the manufacturers do a great job of catching them all, but if a problem does occur, the only thing that I would recommend to you guys, the player, is even though it has never happened to you, you should always be prepared for if something does happen. And I actually published a video on the Cowboy Slot channel about what to do in the event of a machine malfunction, the exact steps and order that you should take. And that's kind of one of those things of every slot player out there needs to watch that video, because that's information that, you hope you never have to use it, but
Right.
You'll be glad that you watch that video if something ever does happen to you, because there is a process. There is a process, guys, and there is steps that the casino has to take whenever something like that does occur. And my job, is to educate you guys on what to do if that happens. And basically, I lay out all of those steps for you in order from the time it first happens to you all the way up to, if you do have to file a complaint with the Gaming Commission, how to do that, what to do, what information they're going to need from you. So it's valuable to have that in your back pocket. A lot of people assume, this is never going to happen to me. And one of those things I kind of correlate it to, years ago, my aunt's home was broken into, and she was robbed. And right after that happened, she went out and bought a security system, and she bought cameras. And my thought behind that process is, why would you wait? Why would you be reactive when you could be proactive? A lot of people ask, well, why do you have cameras on your house? Why do you have security system? Why do you have this or this or this? It's like, well, you know what? Has anything happened to you? No, not yet. But yet is the key word, because especially if you are going to the casino a lot, and if you are playing a lot of these games, and, somebody in my position that, I'm out there playing all of these games all of the time. Just recently on my last trip to Wind River Casino, the pinball machine that I normally always play, I actually went there to record content for you guys, and the pinball machine was had a comlink malfunction and was down, so I could not play it. So stuff like that happens, and you got to think, well, if I was in the middle of playing it, what would I have done at that point? So it's valuable information, guys, and it's stuff that you really should have in your back pocket in case it does happen to you. But yes, bugs do exist, and they are out there.
I think your best advice from that video that you had was what you started out with. Don't panic.
Yep. Exactly.
It's like
that's the first thing.
I mean, exactly. I mean, they have procedures for when this happens. It's not going to be this up in the air thing. Like they don't know, what is going to transpire. It's a very meticulous process whenever a machine malfunctions, especially if in the middle of gameplay and things like that. I would suspect that those things are greatly reduced now. I think as machines get, even though they're getting smarter and the software can be updated and all that, I think they probably spend more time. And Brantley, you've talked about this on your channel before, that, they put countless amounts of dollars into making sure the hardware is good, making sure the software is free of bugs, because this is a liability thing for them. Like if it happens once in a while, okay, but let's say there's a particular machine out there that is just, you know, many casinos are starting to report that it's having issues, and or people manipulating the games or something. Can you imagine what that would do as a manufacturer of a slot machine? I mean, you never hear of recalls of slot machines. I guess it could happen, but I mean, it should never get to that point. Like, somebody's going to get fired because you're dealing with people's money, and you know that malfunction can void play sticker is staring you right in the face, and you don't ever want to think that that's going to be a problem. And I don't hear about it often. Of course, it always makes the news because, I mean, why wouldn't it? It's good news to hear.
Right.
But I don't think it's as much of a problem anymore. But they could exist. I mean, what we're saying is bugs are in every software, game or otherwise. It's just the nature of software development. I'm a software developer, and that's my life, is fixing bugs sometimes. It just happens. So,
you know, I want to put this comment up on the screen really quick from Rick James. Rick says malfunctions. A malfunction wind happened in Mississippi.
I remember this one.
90s woman filed a lawsuit and lost. You know, the 80s and the 90s, guys, was a very pivotal moment in technology because you had the big transition from, you know, the S Plus to the S2000. You had games that were just starting to transition away from EEPROM chips and start moving to, you know, things like SIM cards and stuff like that in the later 90s, early 2000s. So that was a really pivotal moment for technology in general. And anybody that lives through the 90s and was on computers in the 90s, do you
Right.
remember some of the crap that Microsoft came out with? What was it? Was it Microsoft? Was it Me?
Windows
is
ME.
what it was called?
Yeah, Windows ME.
Windows
Yeah.
ME. Yeah, like that was, I mean, but technology was changing a lot back then. And I think, you know, Mark said it correctly, is, you know, these manufacturers these days, they've really had the time, and now we have, you know, all of these extra steps and extra precautions in place to make sure that the bugs like that don't happen. But yeah, back in the 80s and 90s, it was a big deal, especially.
And this might be a good question for you too, Brantley. Can a tech or a casino employee ask a guest to leave a machine if it needs to be serviced, or do they have to wait for them to give up? And to follow up with that, Tammy says it's happened to her. So,
Yeah.
just curious what you think.
You know, going back to, you know, kind of going back to that, the answer is it depends. It depends on the casino's policy. It depends on the casino's policy and how serious the issue is. If it's, you know, most casinos will not interrupt you; they'll wait until you're done. But there are some casinos out there that they'll just, you know, hey, go. And you know, just like with the table game, you guys have to remember that, you know, even though you are putting your money into it and playing at a machine, the machine still belongs to the casino. So that, you know, it is their property. They can ask you to step away from it if they need to, you know, if there's a severe issue that they need to address. But most casinos won't. None of the casinos that I worked at, we would always wait until someone got off, unless it was an issue that, you know, like for example, a small issue that we might ask somebody to step up for a minute is, you know, if we know that the machine is out of paper and you're actively playing it, well, if you were to be done and hit cash out, then it's going to go to the cage and we're going to have to do a hand pay and we're going to have to do all this, or we can ask you to step up for 2 minutes while we change out the paper. So, you know, cases like that. And two, guys, you can always ask questions. And this is one thing that I've tried to stress over and over and over again. As a casino employee, we'll be honest with you and we'll tell you. Like, if a casino employee comes up and says, hey, I need to get into your machine, just ask them. Be like, you know, sure, I don't mind, but, you know, can I ask what it's for? And most of the time it's for something simple. And those are questions that you can ask, you know.
They're not telling you to get up to change the odds.
Yeah, no, the changing of the odds.
They're not doing that.
Yeah, guys, you know, and we've talked about this several times over and over again. Changing of the odds is a long process, and there's a lot of people that have to be there. No one person can change the odds. It has to be a cumulative effort from there has to be a manager there has to be security there has to be the gaming commission there. They have to be physically present and there. So, and that's not something that they're going to do, guys.
Right. Hey, Kevin, good to see you.
What's up,
and
Kevin?
Gamble the Globes here. Tammy's
Gamble the
here,
Globe.
as always. Thank you, Tammy.
Gotta love Tammy. Always here.
Yeah, they're always here. Always ready.
Here.
And Mary,
Mary's
hello.
here.
Good to see you. And Deftones, of course. So feel free to ask us any questions you have, guys. We're here to answer any questions. And other than that, I guess, Brantley, what are you most excited about this weekend being in Vegas?
Well,
besides you can't count pinball.
Damn it,
You got to pick something else.
Pinball. That's it. Pinball. Other than playing the game of pinball, which is my all-time favorite, would have to be hanging out with you and Stacy and Greg. Stacy and Greg are absolutely awesome.
I can't wait to meet them. I know that's going to be fun.
They are really, really awesome. But I will say this. So, funny story. The last time I went to Vegas and spent the weekend with Stacy and Greg, I had the channel and I went there and with the idea that I was going to record all this content for the channel. The entire weekend, I was glued to the pinball machine, and pinball was the only video that I got out of that whole trip. Pinball was the only video that I got. And, people ask me all the time, they're like, why do you play pinball so much? Why don't you play other games? Well, because I win on pinball. Right. I'm like, why would I play a losing game? I know for a fact.
I think it's time for you to start a second YouTube channel just called Pinball Slots.
Right. I know.
Just nothing but pinball.
Nothing but pinball. I mean, that's pretty much,
right.
I mean, and I try, I try to, because, I've gotten some feedback from people. They're like, why do you always play pinball? I'm tired of seeing pinball. So it's like, okay, well, I'll play something else, but I'm going to play pinball first so I can win the bankroll to play other things.
There you
go. I don't want to spend my bankroll on other machines that I don't like. I mean, I'll gladly play them, but,
So here's another question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you prefer the old school pinball or the new ones? S2000 or S3000?
That's a hard one. I like them both equally, but I gotta say I'm starting to gravitate towards the newer pinball.
Yeah.
Towards the S3000. It's starting to grow on me. It really is. I like
can understand that.
The music that IGT uses is really exciting and fun. I really do enjoy that. The older pinball is great, but I don't know.
Long in the tooth.
I like them. I like them both equally. You know what? I will say this though, and I know we've talked about it, and I think, Mark, this is something that you and I have a disagreement on this, but I actually like the 3-credit version of pinball better than the 2-credit version. But that's my personal preference, not from a tech perspective. There's nothing technical behind it, so
that's okay.
I'm not out here saying nobody get my words twisted. I'm not out here saying 3-credit is better, but I like the 3-credit because I like having the extra, the 5th shot.
Extra ball. Gotcha.
I do enjoy that.
Well, actually, the S3000 version only has 3 credits. There's no 2 credits in existence, so you're stuck with 3 credits on that.
Well,
one,
now they're moving to 5-credit, 9-credit, 45 credit.
No. Oh yeah, we are definitely going to hunt down a Diamond RS cabinet.
I think
if we have to go to the Palms, yeah. So we might have to venture over there just to see it.
I'm not sure what I think of that pinball game. I mean, I love pinball, but I've seen.
I'd have to see more. I'd have to see more videos of it. I think there's only a few so far. So anyway, it'd be good content. But it would. Yeah. There's just that's the jury's still out on the new one.
Well, so
the new top dollar looks fantastic.
Here's my thought on the new pinball. So the brand new version of pinball, you can play up to 45. Like if you have it on $5 denom, you can play it up to, on $5 denom, $45 a spin. And I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, so $45 a spin on $5 denom, and you get the pinball. Chances are you're not going to get a hand pay. But if you go to the older one and play the $10 version, max credit 30, you're saving $15, and if you get pinball, you're going to get a hand pay.
That's a good way to look at it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's why I'm like,
Yeah.
watch those lines, guys. I mean, we talk about that all the time. You know, more stuff is not always better because it gets volatile, and that's a good example.
You're right. Tony, Mark emailed a picture of a machine. Yes, I got it. So let's talk about. I do want to talk about Tony's issue here. So, if you guys were here a couple weeks ago when we were talking about owning your own slot machine, Tony purchased a slot machine from a vendor. And Tony, please put the name of the vendor in the chat because I do want to call them out, because I never usually do this, but they have just treated you horribly, and I want other people to know never to buy from them. So Tony ordered a machine more than 2 months ago, kept getting the runaround about, oh, it's shipping, they're going to come pick it up on Monday. A month goes by, they're just giving him lip service, they're not answering his phone calls, etc. He held on to the very end. I told him to just try to get his money back, but they ended up contacting him saying it's actually going out this week. And it looks like he did receive the machine. But he told me that there was a sticker or a notice on the machine that said, do not plug this in until you talk to one of our slot techs. And he has been calling for weeks and nobody gets back to him. That is disgusting service. That is horrible. Awful. It just, words cannot even describe that kind of process. They should not be in business if they're doing that. Oh, and by the way, he said you need to call us or avoid your warranty. So he's nervous about plugging it in naturally because he's worried about the warranty. So it's an S2000 machine. I did get your picture. I'm sorry I haven't replied yet. Just been one of those days, but I'll get back to you. I'm going to help Tony out with everything that he could possibly need for that machine on the house. You don't need to worry about their warranty. It's going to be worthless anyway if they don't return your calls. If there's anything ever wrong with your machine, I will help you out. Okay. And I'm sure Brantley would do the same. It's disgusting that you had to go through that process. Did he post the name yet, Tony?
No, he did not. I do really quick. I want to give a shout out to Tammy.
No, go for it.
Really quick. Tammy's been adding to kind of help us with the questions. She's been adding some arrows pointing up to
that's a good idea. Nice.
Is actually it really helps us to identify because I can scroll through and I can just look at those arrows. So Tammy, thank you for doing that. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it a lot.
Thank you, Tammy.
It helps.
So we'll jump around here, but when Tony get back to me, because I do want to call him out, because I just don't remember who you said that you bought it from, and I'm sorry you're going through that. And unfortunately, this is pretty common in this business. That's why I sell machines myself, not large quantities by any means, but that's why I always recommend going with people like Chris Day at Slot Machines Unlimited. He's got a huge warehouse. His support is top notch. People have never had issues with him, and even if they do, it gets resolved. He has an A+ with Better Business Bureau. Like, that's your go-to. Especially if you're new to owning slot machines, I would strongly urge you to go purchase a machine from him, because you will get that support. Even if you find you doing Google searches and you find the machine for half the price, just be very careful with that, because you might come with a lot of baggage like Tony's dealing with, and that's not something you want, especially first time slot machine ownership. You don't want to end up with a paperweight, and these things can be paperweight if you don't have the proper support to back it up. So, just word of caution out there, just be careful with who you decide to buy from. Just because they have a website doesn't mean they're legit. And feel free to ask me or Brantley at any time if you think something's on the up and up, or if you should avoid them. We'll be happy to answer that question for you. So,
right.
All right. And Deftones, I do remember the Clue game, mostly because I saw it on YouTube. I guess it was about 8 years ago or something. It was really popular. But I haven't seen it since. I remember New York had a big Clue setup in there. All right, Ashley has a question here. So when playing $5 a spin, how much of a bankroll should you bring to the casino if you want to stay minimum 5 hours? Brantley, you have a good way to handle this. I think you've mentioned it many times.
So if you want to stay at the casino for a minimum of 5 hours, the time at the casino is really kind of hard to tell because you never know. I mean, I have gone into the casino with, $100 and I've stayed for all night because I win and lose and win and lose and win and losing, so on and so forth. And I've also gone into the casino with like $5,000 and stayed there for 5 minutes because it's all been gone. So like the length of time is really kind of very subjective. But my rule of thumb for denomination and bankroll is the denomination of the machine that you pick should be 1% of your bankroll. So if you're gonna play the $5 machines, I would recommend bringing $500 with you.
I think that's outstanding. I think that's a really very smart way to handle it. And
that's about
like Gamble
average,
Globe
too.
says too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. And like Gamble Globe says too, it's all about your length of stay. You said 5 hours. That's really the factor.
Yeah.
If you want to try to make it last, then yeah, I think 1% is a great way to handle kind of what you should do. But if you're just like driving through and you want to just try to do something risky, that's fine. But I think the worst thing, and this probably happens to a lot of people, especially if you're going to say Vegas or New Jersey or something for an entire weekend, you get so excited on that first night that you're there that you just destroy your bankroll, and then you're sitting around twiddling your thumbs the rest of the time. And budgeting is so important, and we've talked about that so much. Just be very careful.
And Mark and I were actually just talking about that even for when we arrive in Vegas on Saturday. I considered, obviously going out, meeting everybody and playing maybe just a very, very little bit just to, for that first day. Don't get too excited. Don't get too overwhelmed. I don't want to dump my whole bankroll into one machine on the first day. So,
right.
Yeah. Stretch it out.
Right. I'll be standing behind you telling you to cash out the whole time. How's
there
that? You go. And Club Mike says, has anyone seen the story where a guy hits 2 royals and 4 deuces twice in $100 denomination deuces wild at VP at Caesars? Then the casino realized that the game was set at too high a percentage. I haven't heard that. I'm not sure why they would want to change that, because it's just an occurrence. It's not a cycle. I don't want to use that word, but it's expected to happen. It could happen. Right. I don't know, Brantley,
Mark,
what do you think about that?
Well, and Mark, as you know too, because I mean, obviously, your home slots and I have slots, you have slots, and I know we both do the same thing. We set our slots at the best possible odds, you can possibly have. And I'm not hitting double, triple, triple all the time. So even if a video poker game was set at the highest odds, which no casino ever would do, to hit the 2 royals and the 4 deuces twice, that's a very rare occurrence. I would have to see the article, but I don't think that the casino would have set it too high. And even if they did, it would still be really rare. So I don't really know how to take that.
Yeah, and I always use this story on the Top Dollar, the 5 line that I used to have over here. I always set it at the highest amount too. But one time I refreshed the machine and I was starting from scratch, and I hit the 3 double diamonds, and I was like, this is unbelievable. That's the first time I ever hit on that machine. And literally 5 spins later, I hit it again. And then 2 weeks later, I hit it again. And then months went by and I never got it again. It's a random occurrence. And the balancing was like negative 1,470%, It was way off. But that doesn't mean that I should go in there and turn it down because it needs to start making up the money. It will, over a long period of time, start to make that money back, because all that's kind of planned into the programming. But it's very strange. I would, Mike, if you have the article of that, send it to me in Discord and I'll look it up. I'm surprised that they would say, hey, get off of there. We need to turn it down. It's kind of strange.
For sure.
And Deftone says, "What's your guys' feelings on channels that are high rollers doing 100 to 200 per spin and winning $10,000? I know it's entertaining, but do you feel it gives unrealistic expectations of people?" Well, we're never going to, talk bad about any channel, but take the channel equation out of it.
Right.
I think my personal feeling is that as long as they show a healthy mix of losing sessions and winning sessions and not just posting constant wins, I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And I think most of them do, to be honest. I won't mention names, but I know some of the recent channels have even said that, even though we get more views by just posting all the wins, we don't feel it's right to not put in the losing sessions as well so that you see the full picture. And I think that's very important for people. It can be very dangerous. I will say to avoid channels that are not real, that are not playing in a casino, that just show the big wins. Those are your red flags. But I don't know. Do you have any other comments on that, Brantley?
Well, a couple things on this. When it comes to the world of YouTube, there's a lot of channels out there, guys, which I can just say, I mean, if like the big three, 3 or 4 top, like the top slot channels, those guys have a lot of money. To them, it is not unrealistic because they can afford it. I mean, these are people that, we talk about, even like the largest slot channel. I mean, the largest slot channel, makes, probably, $1 million a year. So for them to play 100 to 200 per spin is nothing. And then there are a lot of channels out there that they've already come from a lot of money. And to that, it's nothing. So you kind of have to consider that. Is it entertaining? It's very entertaining, and a lot of people enjoy it because I actually watch a lot of the slot channels. I watch everybody. I don't have a disposition to only watch one or the other. And I will just say, like, for me, it is a lot more entertaining to watch somebody play, 100, 200 a spin as opposed to, $1 a spin. But does it give unrealistic expectations to people? I think it really is kind of what you make it. Yes and no. I mean, they're not out there trying to force your hand saying, you should go do this. Some are, don't get me wrong. There are there are some channels out there that do that, but for the most part, all of the channels I would say are pretty honest. When it comes to that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's entertaining. You got to remember it's entertainment. I watch those because it's not something I would ever bet on a slot machine. That's why I set the ones in here. Right. Yeah. That's why I set all these to high denominations in here, because I can do it and get that excitement of, multi-million dollar jackpots. But,
there are some people out there that can do it. And, a lot of people don't realize that either. If you go to, the last time I was playing at Aria, there were people in there that they were spending $1,000 a spin, and they didn't have a camera in front of them. They were in there because that's their normal for them. I wish I was in that position. That would be
I think if I had the money to do that, I don't think I would be gambling.
And I mean, as much as I would love to play $500 denom pinball at 3 credits, $1,500 a spin. I do not have that. Maybe one day, One day, 5 years in the future, if one spin $1,500, I might do it one day if I ever, if I were to ever hit like a $1 million progressive or multi-million-dollar lottery, I would probably do it just to say I did it. But
but bucket list item.
Just always remember, guys, stick within your own budget. Your own budget that works for you.
Right. Timothy says, when playing video baccarat, video roulette, video blackjack, is it random or is the next cards or roulette spin predetermined? Is the shoe playing video baccarat shuffle similar to the table game? So, Brantley, I'll let you expand on this, but essentially the rules are that the video versions of table games have to match the odds of the actual table games themselves. Brantley, do you want to expand a little bit on that?
Right. So how the casino controls the percentage of these games. So the casinos cannot change the pay table aspect of the game. So like there's only so many cards in a deck. There's only so many numbers on the wheel. So to change the odds, the casino cannot, change the numbers on the roulette wheel or number of cards in a deck. So what they do is they change what pays out what. So like if your odds, like if they set the odds to be, better for you, the player, then your pay table might pay out more than say the other version. Essentially anything with table games, electronic table games, they have to follow the same rules as regular table games. So it is random. They're not predetermined. So if you're on an electronic roulette and you are playing electronic roulette, it's going to randomly pick a number within that roulette wheel. It's not predetermined, and that's the same with the card games and stuff as well. So I hope that helps answer your questions.
No, that's good. And I just remembered something, and I think we mentioned this in a previous live stream, but they I've seen this on video blackjack and also video roulette. The way that the house gets slight edge over the table games is that they restrict certain actions. So on blackjack, for example, some don't let you split aces more than once. Some don't let you split anything more than once. Sometimes you can only double down if an ace or a 10 are showing. There's just they take some of the edge out. Like those are edge plays for blackjack. That's how you get over the 100% bump on blackjack, is getting dealt those hands that you can split and double down and all that kind of stuff. And so on the video versions of blackjack, they take some of those away. So keep that in mind. And also I've noticed with video roulette, if you just walk around the casino and look at the video roulette machines, look at what the pay table is for, say, the single number hit. On a roulette wheel, it's 1 in 36, right? I think it's 36 for a single number match.
Yeah.
At Aria, the video roulettes are at 32 to 1, so they actually pay less. So just look at that and realize, yes, the actual way the game plays out is the same. The cards, the ball spinning around is the same, but they get a house edge by taking some of that stuff away and maybe paying less than what you would get on the actual card game version of it. So. And Deftones says, when working in the casinos, what machines were usually 24/7 the most popular? I know nowadays, even at 2 a.m. on Tuesday, the Dragon Link machines, God, I hate that game. Was it when y'all worked? So, Brantley, back when you worked, what was the hot
back when
game?
I worked? Honestly, dancing drums, when dancing drums came out, and then obviously we had like the 88 Fortunes and stuff like that. Those were popular 24/7. People were playing them because with those games you can bet the minimum of 88 cents and still qualify to get the grand. And we were paying out the grand on that all the time. If y'all are going to pick a machine that if y'all are going to pick a new machine, like if you had your choice between Lightning Link, dancing drums, Dragon Link, all these other crazy crap they're coming out with now, I will say this. I have personally seen and paid out the most grands on dancing drums. Just saying. Dancing drums. And a lot of times they were on minimum bets. You can hit that grand at 88 cents. It's hard, but you can do it.
Right. Yeah, thanks for sending that link, Mike. We'll look at it for the next show. I always want to look at it before I just show something on a live show, but I will definitely check that, and we'll go over it for sure. And then Sale Ready says, does 5-spin method works big in Illinois casinos? So I don't believe in the 5-spin method. If it works for you, I think that's perfectly fine. But there's no programming in the slot machine to say whether a machine has a 5-spin method or not. Brantley and I know the programming of these machines inside and out. We know how they work. And that's just not something that the casinos program purposely in the machine. But if it's a method that works for you, like you feel like you're getting success by spending 5 times and then deciding to get up to go to another machine because you're not getting that feeling that it's going to pay, that's perfectly fine. We have no problems with that. So there are a lot of methods out there. Feel free to use what you think is working, but we're just going to answer from a technical standpoint our feeling about it. But it's ultimately up to you to decide, if it's going to work or not.
Well said, Mark.
Let's see. And Tritter82 says, when playing, say, $2,000, as far as comps go, is it better to try to stretch it out over hours, or would you receive the same comps if you played higher denomination in less time? Brantley, you want to?
So this is a funny one. There's actually, I cannot remember her name, but there is a YouTube video I saw where a lady had a method to get from 0 to diamond status at Caesars within 1 day. And she actually showed and demoed her doing it. And it was using the time frames, the right time frames within their algorithm to do it. So, like, if you go on like a 5 times points day, and she explained like the program technically starts at like 5:59 a.m. and it runs until whatever. And the way she explained it was great. I would actually love to have her on the show. She's not a casino employee. It was a random video. I mean, and I saw this video like a year ago, but it was a random video of this lady had a method to get to from 0 to diamond at Caesars within 24 hours, and it works. It really, so players clubs vary drastically from casino to casino. Actually, Mark, this weekend, Caesars only on Sunday from a certain time to a certain time, they're actually doing 5 times tier credits with bonuses and stuff like that. So as much as I absolutely cannot stand Caesar's property whatsoever, I think
go over there and get some content for your channel.
Sunday, might go over and get some content. So stuff like that to get the most comps is really pay attention to the Players Club and study that
calendar,
promotional calendars and stuff like that.
Yep.
Now every casino is different, and everyone really does do it different, guys. I mean, there's no legal standard for comps at all. So you could have Casino A that does it by length of time, and you could have Casino B do it by denomination. You could have Casino C. There's a million ways.
That's right.
Study your casino on that one.
There you go. And Kevin says he has a S2010 times pay for 7 years and never. Yeah, you're never going to hit it. That is really, really difficult.
It's probably
in fact,
the
I don't
worst
even think I've ever seen.
There's
only one video out where that was hit, and that was from a guy. His name is IGT Man. Look it up on YouTube, and he has a video of it hitting the 10, 10, 10. That's the only time I've ever seen it. But he had it at his house, so. Let's see.
I was just about to grab that one. Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay. Is red, white, blue double symbol slot? I lose all the time. Is it a slot I should keep playing?
So with that one, Sal, it's a relatively low volatile slot. It's higher. It's a low volatile slot, but it's slightly higher than some of the others because you have the color combinations that you can get. So like if you get 3 reds or 3 blues or red, white, and blue in order, those are also on the pay table. So really, it is a good machine. Actually, recently, not even a month ago, I hit the triple double on that exact
I was about to say, wasn't that the one?
That was the machine that I hit the triple double on. But I had been playing that machine for, over the course, several years. And I had gotten a couple hand pays on it, but not many. It is a good machine to play. But, you could try to move to something a little lower in volatility, maybe a double diamond, just a traditional double diamond, nothing with a deluxe feature or anything like that. But I would say that normally is a pretty good machine to keep on. Just my thoughts on it.
Fair enough. All right, let's see. Just looking for some questions here. Deftones, if someone hosts a group pool with, say, 20 people, do you think it's fair for the person hosting the group pool to use their card with all the spins and collecting all the points? That's essentially what group pools are. It's a benefit for the person that's hosting it. We both have mixed feelings about doing group pools. I think in general it's a bad idea unless you really trust the person and it's a personal close friend. You just got to be careful. Be careful with those things. I don't
Here,
think it's a good idea in general.
you know,
But go ahead, Brandon.
here's my thoughts on group polls, guys. First off, um, group polls with people that you don't know or strangers or anything like that, channel viewers, anything like that is an absolute no-go for me. I don't think it's right. It's not beneficial. If you watch any major group poll videos on other slot channels, what you're going to see is, okay, everybody puts in $500, and then at the end of the group poll, the person playing just earned, all of these crazy comps, and you might have hit like 5 jackpots, but then everybody goes home with like $505. Like it doesn't, it's
Right.
not beneficial to you. Group polls really essentially are only beneficial to the person that's actually has their card in because they're earning the points, and the person hosting the group poll, that's the only person it benefits. However, group polls within family or a close network of friends, there's nothing wrong with that at all. I mean, I know, like,
Swap your cards.
yeah, like if Mark and I
just,
decided, if Mark and I
Right.
decided we wanted to one day do a group poll with just him and I, like, that would be fine because obviously we know
Right.
each other, and it would be a pretty even keel split 50-50. But with a large group of people, 20 plus, I would say no.
And Jetmo says, what causes the speakers to not work on a slot? They are 100% working. They turn them off for various reasons. One, the slot technician doesn't know what he's doing. Two, people request that the volume be reduced to 0. That drives me nuts. I think, why would you want to play a slot machine that is completely silent? I think that's part of the fun. I mean, can you imagine playing these back here with no sound?
Yeah,
it's like most of the reason why you play these. And it's baffling to me, but the speakers are working. They just have the sound turned off.
Yeah.
So, class 2 question. This one's going to you, Brantley. So in the class 2 casino, are the video poker machines based on bingo like the slots? That's an interesting question.
I worked in a class. So here's the thing. I worked in a class 2 facility, and we did have video poker, and yes, it was based on the bingo system, but that's something that really, I mean, we're opening up a whole new bag of chips here. The short answer to your question is yes, it is still based on bingo because that's all their license allows for. Any table games fall under a class 3 category. So any casino that has legit table games has to have a class 3 license, which is why in Oklahoma, so this is another fun fact, obviously, you go to WinStar and they have class 2 bingo machines, but wait a minute, they have table games. If you go onto my website on ropethejackpot.com, you'll actually see that all the casinos in Oklahoma have a joint license for class 2 and class 3, but they typically only use the class 3 certification for the tables themselves, while maintaining bingo based gaming on the slot machines. Now, there are some casinos in Oklahoma that actually do have class 3 slot machines. A friend of mine worked out there. I can't remember what tribe it was, but there's a tribe in Oklahoma that they do use class 3 slot machines. So it does exist. But to answer your question,
and they can have it, and they could have a mix, right? They can have a
class
mix, 2 and class 3.
They can have a mix. But to answer your question, yes, they are based on bingo. Now, because you're in Oklahoma, it could be mixed and it could be class 3 based. Oklahoma is a very different state because they got a lot going on. I don't know. They need to make up their mind if they're do one or the other. Both. They need to make up their mind on that.
Right. And Roger says, I was at the MGM in Las Vegas about 8 years ago. My wife was playing a machine. It was during the bonus when the machine reels would not stop spinning and register default. Now, this is common. And actually, I did a video on mine on the Willy Wonka where I simulated a power outage and what would happen. Power outages, reels get faulted, which means that something bumped the reel, a wire, or you bumped the machine or something. Those reels are very sensitive because they want to make sure that they're showing the right stops that the programming is telling it to stop at. And if there's any interference with the reels whatsoever, they will just start spinning. It's basically a
Yep.
real tilt is what it's called.
It's normal.
This is
It
very
happens a
common.
lot.
Yeah, it's very common. Usually all they need to do is open up the door and turn the jackpot key and close the door, and it resets. Sometimes you have to reboot the machine depending on the type of machine, but those types of faults are not considered malfunctions. Those are just normal everyday things that happen to slot machines, and they can all be recovered. And I know we don't talk bad about other slot channels, but yeah, coin pusher stuff is not legit, guys.
I kind of so I've seen
Use your head.
I don't, guys. I don't know exactly what channel this is. I can tell you right now, anybody with $4 million isn't putting it in a damn coin pusher machine, and I don't know any casino that has a coin pusher machine. I think that, maybe Circus did years ago for the kids. I don't know, but I don't know any legit casino.
Use your Inspector Gadget mind when you watch these things. Do you see anything except the coin pusher? I know one of them actually shows a video of them showing everything that's in the coin pusher. The only way they could do that is if they had the front glass off. What casino would allow you to do that? There's no sound in the background. It's just them and the coin pusher. There's no excitement when they get, $10 million chips come off the side. Just use your head when you watch those things and realize that this is a money making thing for YouTube, and people are going to keep doing it. And it's sad, but I just want to say they're not real.
Yeah, no.
I'm not going to call any channel out, but yeah.
I don't know of any channel. I simply don't. I've not watched any of those videos.
There's no possible way,
but I've not personally watched any of them. They came up in my recommendations a couple of weeks ago, and it was the first I ever saw it. So I'm like, what is this? And so I started to watch more of it. And of course, because of that, YouTube is putting it all in my face. And I'm like, stop recommending this stuff. It's fake, Enough already. And Scott is right. Don't play more than you can afford to lose. That is always the rule. Always the rule in a casino. And decide that before you walk in the door. Don't walk in the door and start playing a machine and then figure out what your budget's going to be. That's the wrong order. Before you even walk in, decide what your budget's going to be. All right, let's see what else we got. Bogies 12 says, I know for a fact with pics of the casino changing the pay table. Send me pics. Let me see it. Yep.
homeslotsfun@gmail.com. Let's see. Gamble Globe. Shout out to Gamble Globe, by the way. He's always here also. Really appreciate your help. Awesome. On video poker or video roulette or video blackjack, you are only getting slot play credit. Keep this in mind if you're grinding. Yeah, that's very true.
Yep.
And a lot of those don't accept free play either. You'll probably see some kind of sticker on there that says free play not available on these machines. I think the video roulette, especially I think I've noticed where it says this does not accrue points or something like that. So keep that in mind as you watch. All right, just looking for some questions here because we're about
let's see what
7 minutes away. So go ahead and pick some if you find one.
Let's see. I'm loving that. I'm loving that Tammy. Tammy's doing
putting the thing. Yeah, Tammy, you're amazing.
The question things. Let's see. Here's one. Trav D, my local casino is set to 80% across the board, $5 Gadina. Is that low? Absolutely, that's low. That's
pretty low.
That's bad. I would if it's 80%, I would not go there.
That's got to be New Mexico.
Yeah, I would not go there.
I've heard some bad stories out of New Mexico.
That is bad.
Yeah. Let's see.
Gary the Gambler's here. How's it going, Gary? Let's see. There's one from Bob's Tank. Is there a name for the music that plays on the Double Diamond S2000 machine? Bebop boop melody when the reels stop or when the reels spin. I'm sure that it has a name. I'm not sure what the name is.
It's a specific sound sim. It's a generic sound sim that you can get for any S2000 slot. If it doesn't have its own, like Top Dollar has its own, Pinball has its own. But you can also get generic, so you don't have just the old S plus cheesy sounding sounds. You can actually get those. But yeah, there's no real name I don't know of. Maybe there is. Probably something internal. But let's see. Trying to get through all these questions, guys. Everybody's coming in now.
Let's see. Well, I'll take a couple here.
Yeah, go for it. Go for it.
I play the dollar slots. I'm your average gambler. I currently only play at cannot pronounce the name of that casino, but okay. Can a casino be able to see my play, hence offer free rooms? Yes, if you use your player's card, absolutely they can, which is why it's important to use your player's club card, because that's the only way that you're ever going to get those free offers. And why not get something back? And that's the thing. I mean, on my channel on Cowboy Slots, we did an interview with the gaming commissioner, and we asked some questions about the player's card, and they described to us, and this is stuff that Mark and I had already gone over as well, but they confirmed it. The player tracking system is not connected to the logic portion of the slot machine whatsoever. So, whether you use your card or not, that's not going to affect your play, but it is going to affect your comps. So, if you're one of those people out there that, you want to get free rooms or you want to get more free play, use your card, because that's going to be the only way that you can get it.
And they can absolutely see where you are in the casino, what you're playing, what you're coin in, coin out. Like, that's all tracked. And it's not to target that machine and say, man, that guy's winning too much, we better turn it down. It's not like that at all. It's all purely marketing. It's for them to know what kind of level player you are, what kind of comps, free play and stuff to get you back in. That's all part of it. And you should do it because, like we say, use your card, man. It's valuable comps. Rick James says, where does top-down round CFL bowl pull? You're over my head. Let's see. I'm not really sure. You got me on that one, Rick James. He's surpassing me for sure. He came and picked up a top dollar from me, and he's proven his worth for sure.
Nice.
All right, let's see.
I got one here from I Want to Kiss Bruce Springsteen. The pick of the most volatile slot machines. So I'll just list a couple. Like Mark has said, and I'm stealing this line from you, Mark, and I think you know what I'm going to say. If it has a dragon on it or a dragon in it, stay away from it.
Right.
It's the most, if it's something dragon or, something dragon, something food dog, something, anything with the word link in it, dragon link, lightning link, anything with the drum on it, dancing drum, 88 fortunes, whatever, explosion. Those are the most volatile. Piggy banking. I'm trying to think of all those really popular games that people nowadays are playing that are really, really high in volatility. Piggy banking is one of them. Anything actually, and we just mentioned it. Diamond Queen. Diamond Queen is another
game
one.
Up for the first time about a week ago, and I still haven't got the bonus. That's a very volatile machine. And if you've watched on YouTube, you know that.
Yeah. Those are probably going to be the most volatile games that you could possibly play. And speaking on that, actually, we got a question here from Gary the Gambler. I'll put that up on the screen. Are the Lightning Link orb bonuses completely random or predetermined? So I'm going to assume it's the hold and spin feature with the orbs that lock on the screen. Those are actually random. Those are not predetermined. So once you get into that bonus round, the orbs falling, that actually is a random occurrence. Excuse me, with that. So that's not predetermined. But
also no, we're probably going to say the exact same thing. Yeah. Just realize that it's random, but it still goes through the same kind of generation process where you're more likely to get lower orbs. Those rare jackpot hits or the higher orbs with the higher amounts are still going to be difficult. So there's still randomness, but it's just like with any kind of slot machine that works. There's the random aspect of it, and then there's the pay table, and those work together. And so that's why, for example, once you get to like 14 balls and you have one to go for the grand, extremely hard to get that last orb. It's not predetermined, but it's still going through a random process, and your odds are very, very slim. So I think that's what you were going to say.
Yeah. Let's see.
Bogies, it's homeslotsfun@gmail.com. I appreciate that.
Yeah, send it over, guys. If you got anything,
I'm not saying anything's wrong with it. I mean, hey, if I look, I'll be the first to admit that I, made a mistake, or I say that I've never seen it before. But if you send me something and it suggests that they're changing the pay table in front of somebody, then yeah, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. That's what we're here for.
Yep. And they do change this stuff, but what we were trying to say is it's not something that can be just done on a whim. Like a slot tech that's walking by can't open the machine on his own and change the payback percentage.
It's a big process.
They have locks on the doors. They have the security tape from the gaming commission on the CPU door. There's paperwork that has to be done, all of those types of things. And so if all of that is in order, yeah, they can go around and change the payback percentage. But it's just not a common occurrence. It's not something that they need to do because like we've said many, many times, it takes millions of spins before the payback percentage is even realized. And they're making so much money off of that slot machine by not having to do anything but let it sit there. Right. And it's just not something that they need to do. And even if they did change it from 90%, say down to 80%, it's not going to be an immediate realization. Like you're not going to go in one day and it's set at 90 and then go in the next day and it's set at 80 and notice any kind of difference. It takes a very, very long time before any kind of patterns come up. And I'm talking millions of spins, not 5, not 10, not 100, not even 1,000. It takes a very long time. So they could change it. I don't think it's really worth it to them unless it's a significant change. That's just how it works. I mean, that's how it's worked for a very long time, and I don't see that changing. They don't have to mess with these things.
Right.
So.
Let's see. Oh, we got one here from D. Ponce. Brantley, will you point out a good slot machine to play at a meet and greet? So I will always recommend a low volatile machine. However, I'm not going to point to one particular machine and say, play this one. That's too much. I can't be held liable. I don't want to make your choices for you. And that's not something that I want to be held to the, hold me responsible if you lose on it kind of thing. But I'll point some out to you and I'll say, well, if it were me, I'd recommend like one of these 3 or 4 or whatever in the room. But At the end of the day, it's a choice that you have to make. I'm not, I would never guide somebody's hand to one particular machine. That's just not who I am.
You can just say pinball. It's okay.
Pinball. It's gonna be. Oh, there we go. Kevin, thank you for answering that for me, buddy. Kevin, it's pinball. It's always gonna be pinball.
Oh, it's too funny. All right, guys. Well, we need to start wrapping it up here because it is bedtime for me. Yes, I know. I'm getting old. I got to sleep early. Brantley was making fun of me last night for going to bed at 7.
I got to go. I got to go take care of the horses. So.
No, fair enough. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for your time. I hope we got some questions answered for you, and we will follow up and see you guys this weekend. Hopefully, if you're going to be there, we'd love to meet you in person. If not, wait for some videos to drop because we will be probably doing a lot of recording while we're there. So it should be a lot of fun. All right, guys, take it easy. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next video.
All right, take care.